One of the great things about artificial intelligence is the opportunity to transcend culture. Now, anthropologists tell us there have been 10,000 cultures in human history, and the root word of culture is cult. And cults are these aspects of our software, of our protocol for interacting with reality that is not based on an intelligent science. An intelligent science being the efficient transference of energy in various forms, time, resources, and money, into sustainable human well-being. Now, I think it's very exciting to look through the lens of science, to have a clear metric of deciding what human well-being is in different ways, and then to look at formulas. We're starting to have artificial intelligence that you give it a design criteria. You spell out an outcome, and then a computer will generate 100 different designs, many of them quite different than the designs that we would have thought of. And it becomes very easy then to sort through 100 pages of drawings and say, sure, this one. And the computer does it effortlessly. If it's a fast computer. And I think the same thing can start to occur at a global level. And one of the most interesting areas that it can occur is between a group of, let's say, 100 people. You take your neighborhood and you give it to an AI and ask it how to maximize human well-being within the confines of the money, the time, the skill sets, and the enjoyments of the individuals in that neighborhood. And the artificial intelligence can spit out 100 different versions of reality that are all more enjoyable while consuming less energy than the current status quo. And everyone in the neighborhood can vote on any parts of any of those renditions of reality. And then the AI can, in turn, look at the overlap and design a collage of peak experience, a collage of peak value. And when you consider that this can happen with a couple, this can happen with any 100 people, this can happen with 10 people, it can happen with a company, this effortless reinvention. And so one of the things that I think is highly important and not particularly urgent, referencing a little tip of the hat to Stephen Covey, is the software, the development of software in which well-being can be articulated and resources can be articulated and formats for communication can be articulated. You see, because and then to empower computers, artificial intelligence, whatever, to produce possibility fields, probability fields, in a way that transcends culture. It's always puzzled me personally why someone might save up for a Porsche, for example. And not that there's anything wrong with a Porsche, it's just, make money, do this, do that, do this other thing. Many of them not particularly enjoyable in themselves, like I've got to make this sale. In order to make the sale, I've got to call these prospects, and et cetera. And it's the Porsche that's interesting to me. And, there's growth and challenge, et cetera. And then one day you get the Porsche. And there's obviously enjoyment in aspects of this. But then you take something like eye gazing. And here you have an opportunity between any two people to, for example, have a recipe where you just say, I want you to imagine beautiful things about me, and I will imagine beautiful things about you. And 2 minutes later, we'll see how we feel. And you look at the fact that this is free, takes all of 2 minutes. And what's interesting is that the body language of many of these, I'll call them culturally transcendent activities, meaning nobody's doing them, and because nobody's doing them, nobody's doing them. And because we all want to belong in Maslow's hierarchy, we're doing the things that other people are doing so that we will belong. And in this endless cycle of nobody's doing them because nobody's doing them, there are these glaring opportunities, whether it's in science, relationships, economy, culture, these glaring opportunities that are potent and powerful, that are not being opened simply because the momentum of the meme has not been initiated. And it seems like artificial intelligence as a non-political force has the ability to potentially populate our culture with real scientific probabilities and opportunities that are simply not being explored because nobody's doing them. Not because they're not intelligent, not because they're not much more intelligent than the things that we're doing, but just because nobody's doing them in a culture where we all need to belong. So I think relationship memes, and of course the development of such a software is just to back up a little bit, is the number one priority. When I talk about different ways of expressing it, if you can imagine a neighborhood where, an AI redesigns the neighborhood in 100 different ways, presents the 100 top designs, and then can communicate this information graphically. Like, over the next 5 years ago, here's how the neighborhood could be rebuilt physically, emotionally, mentally, culturally. We could have a ritual for grieving in this location, in this way, with these group of neighbors. We could have a ritual for celebration. We could have a tennis match. We could invent a new sport. So you have all these different dimensions of a neighborhood. And then you have the different ways of articulating a bullet point, a slideshow, a complete model map where you put on VR glasses and you just walk around the new neighborhood the way the VR, the AI has designed it. And just say, yes, I like this 1 to 10. I like this 10. I like this 8. I like this 7. I love the smell of this 10, but the visual 2. You walk through these possibilities and you get to know each other through the lens of preference and values. And so the software, of course, is an incredibly exponentially potent tool to introduce and make probability fields real. But then you come to the secondary levels of, what might an AI create? What uses for a nonprofit? What, and when would a nonprofit be useful? And how would it plug into this or that module? Because one of the great things with AI is it might take you and I 2 hours of research to find out how the neighborhood could plug into the best, most suitable nonprofit. It might take 2 seconds for the AI to say, of all the nonprofits out there, this is the best one where we could send them money and then they send us money back to transform our neighborhood, and that money is now tax-free. And then we need a loan in this way, and this person in the neighborhood actually is looking for 10% return on investment, and this part of the neighborhood project has a secure collateral. So why don't we have this neighbor fund the project on a loan repaid by everyone? And you have these beautiful evolving configurations, like self-generating flowers in gardens just blooming, but in all dimensions, in thought, in various phases of reality. So I think where this concludes, if we come back to the purpose of 10x nonprofit, where this concludes is that one of the most potent things that we can possibly do is develop the technology to enable this collage of synergy and value to take place beyond the sphere of the conscious mind, but to engage the conscious mind in the different aspects of reality. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you on the next episode.